if you want to know what that turns into, stay tuned. So here's the end result. It's how it looks from the bottom, how it looks from the top. Now I want to put some stamens in the middle of it, just to make it a bit more realistic, but as it stands, that's pretty good. So I'm going to show you how we get there. So here we are in BuzzEdit, and what I have here is a petal from a flower of the morning glory. So I looked this up online to see how to try and understand how morning glory flower is formed, and what I found is that it's basically bigger on top and smaller on the bottom, and they all join together and then they form a flute type flower. So in order to turn it into a flower, what I realized is if we change it to a bigger hoop, let's go for this one, and then we select it, and then we click on create wreath. Now what I know about this is that there were 6 petals, and what I do like about this particular program is you can adjust the vertical and the horizontal sections separately, which makes it a little easier to join them together in the middle, because you don't want too much bulk in the middle. And once they're joined, and what I also found works quite fun is, because you don't want them to all be identical, if you alternate, oops, wrong one. That's the one I want to flip a long press on a cross path. Now it makes it a little bit wiggly there, so we'll need to adjust that slightly. And then just to get them back together. A little bit of an art doing this sometimes. You can actually adjust this a bit as well. So you can do all sorts. I'll just put that back to 0. You basically fiddle around until you get them to line up exactly as you expect. I did better the first time, but it's alright, a bit of art. That looks pretty good. So they're largely overlapped now in the way I want it. And then I click OK. Now it joins them together and turns them into the flower, which makes the wreath. And then you can stitch them out, cut it out, and then the last stage is actually stitching them together. So I will show you that in a moment. So what's really important about this is you have to have the same thread in the top and the bottom, because you will see both sides when you're stitching this. got white thread in the bottom in the bobbin at the moment. And I know I wound the gray before, which is there. So, then what we do is we've got our flower, and what you do is, it's easier when you first start, but the idea is you need to stitch just the petals together. So it's pretty easy to do. I need to adjust this. And we're just doing straight stitches, nothing very fancy here. You can see the machine automatically does, it hops, so it gives a bit of the pressure that you need. And because it just matches what was there before, 3 places, then snip. I've deactivated the automatic presser foot lift, which you can see there. So I might reactivate it just for this. Okay. That's one thing I find about this machine, unfortunately the thread cutter is a bit random, and I have no idea why. It's a new blade, it's so sharp it cuts me, so I'm not sure exactly why it would be behaving like that, but you know, considering the deal I got on this, I'm not too worried about such things. Better cut that time. I'll snip that thread off, and then off we go again. So, do the next one. So it is awkward getting under here, but it does work. And you don't actually need that many stitches, you just need to make sure it holds it in place. To the next one. And we go to the next. The secret is just to make sure there's no gaps. You may find it easier sometimes just to sew sideways on this. So the feed dogs are dropped, so it's up to me to control it. And you don't actually have to go all the way down into the bottom, because once it's squashed together, it actually will hold itself just fine. Okay, and then we go to the next one. Oop, need to do a bit more on that one. It's pulling apart a bit. And then we'll just do this one because it fits nice and easy. So some you want to do inside and some you want to do outside. It doesn't really matter because you can move them around after. That should hold it in place just fine. And last but not least, we'll do the most complicated bit, which is not as bad as you think. Okay, so on to the last pedal here. So, okay, this one is always a little more complicated because it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but following the same rules, it's not as bad because you do have a bit of flexibility to get in there. So let's lower that down and off we go. Okay, so now we just, there you go, done. So a little bit of thread trimming and voila, done. So there, you see, it's quite simple, really. There's the previous one and there's the new one. This one's slightly bigger, but I could have squished them together more. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. But they do flex in there nice and tight. So you can just do that. Okay. Well, I hope you found that interesting.